In the name of God, the ground of our being and our becoming. Amen.
Amen.
God's vineyard is in very great disarray today. It is not unlike his vineyard described in today's gospel, which is among the most violent of the parables of Jesus. Of course, the scriptures are riddled and filled from beginning to end with violence of all sorts. What should be done in the midst of this chaos and unthinkable violence in the world? I want to try to relate what we see in this parable to the continuing persistence of violence among us. What is the gospel response to such inhumane activity in the world and even in our own city? As a reminder of current and recent violence, just think of the beheading of a variety of people by ISIS in Iraq and elsewhere, the recent, present, and ongoing violence between the Palestinians and the Israelis, the ongoing turmoil in Syria, the continuing violence, seen and unseen, between races and religions. Think of the violence on our own street, and even, unfortunately, the violence that was used to quell some of the incidents on our own streets, which we have read about in the papers recently. And is it too petty to mention the recent saga of Ray Rice and the violence shown on TV and on our computer screens, and on and on and on? It is all so distressing, it's depressing and disarming, no pun intended. Of course, each side accuses the other as perpetuator of violence to begin with. It's human nature, the blame game. Because each of us has the capacity and violence and retribution and retaliation, power of retaliation within us. But what is to be done with such violent actions, violent feelings, and our human propensity for violence, particularly in response to the violence of others? As hearers of the parable, we and the chief priests and the elders and others hearing this story are asked, what will the landowner do to exact justice for this unconscionable act? The answer we all give, of course, and the tenants gave, is that he will put those wretches to a miserable death and lease the vineyard to other tenants who will give him produce at harvest time. We are so retaliatory. We are vengeful people. We want an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. So what else would we say? Nuke 'em. To those who are violent, we want to exact more violence in return. But we are wrong, as history points out. Even if the parable turned to an allegory isn't clear. What will the landowner do to exact justice for this unconscionable act? So, the allegory is this. God is the landowner, the owner of creation. The vineyard is Israel. In our case, it's the whole world. The tenants are the leaders that turn bad. The prophets and the righteous ones are those who were sent to rectify the tenants' rebellion and hard-heartedness. And Jesus, of course, is the Son who is sent as a last resort by the, shall we call him, prodigal, insane landowner who apparently loves his farm more than his son. And the rest of the story is Good Friday. What's the point then? What's the good news here? Neither the parable nor Jesus answer this question. The preposterous good news is what Matthew seems to have omitted in his story. Is it that the wicked tenants got what was coming to them, and our bloodlust for retribution and retaliation was satisfied? Nope, not at all. The wicked tenants did not receive retribution. They receive resurrection. They don't get what they deserve. They receive the very best that the landowner has to give. It is an insanity that only heaven can bestow, and it comes to us as the Easter event. To participate even by inches in the ultimate love that raised Jesus from the dead, that refused to annihilate the wayward tenants for what was so wickedly done. This comes as a new understanding and as a new center of meaning in our lives. It is to be changed from the inside out. It is to know that you and I, are loved with the same insane love that the landowner showed by sending once, by sending twice, by sending again and again, regardless of the consequences and personal cost to him, messengers of love. We love because Christ first loved us. And in a nutshell, that's the truth of this parable. And this is not yet quite the end. Unfortunately, violence will always be with us. It seems to be an endemic part of the cosmic battle between heaven and earth and the human battle, the human struggle in which we live. The end of violence is that Easter turns everything around. God raises love from the dead and invites everyone into the new work God is doing, of which we are all an integral part. This is the Lord's doing, and it is amazing in our eyes. The only problem is that it is just as hard for us to believe that love, faith, and hope really win in the end over power, control, and violence. We are in the same place as Jesus' original healers or hearers. Will we reject the risen, loving Son of the loving God, the God of our being? Or will we respect him, or will we reject him? Or will we, in our desperate fear, continue to believe in this power-driven world and so perpetuate the vicious cycle of violence in which we all live? I believe we have the choice and the responsibility each and every day and in so many various ways to speak out and to act in every way we can to stem violence to ourselves and to others. Think about it. How would you do it? What can you do? And does it portray the gospel? Rumi, the mystic prophet, Sufi prophet of the 12th century, reminds us, someone who does not run toward the allure of love walks a road where nothing lives. Amen.